Okay, so we're looking at Unit 3. Why had international peace collapsed by 1939? And first of all, we need to look at the aims of the Axis powers. And we're going to start, first of all, with Germany, as it has the most influence in this unit, and in particular Hitler from 1933 onwards. And Hitler's aims are pretty simple. They're to tear up the Treaty of Versailles. This is what he promises before he is elected. Reparations is something he doesn't really have to worry about, because remember, by this time, by sort of 1933, it's largely irrelevant after the Great Depression and things like the Young Plan. Disarmament is something he wants to reverse. And how's he going to go about this? By remilitarization of the Rhineland, by rearmament, by reintroducing conscription. Self-determination is another issue he has. In particular, Czechoslovakia and Poland, newly created at Versailles, so clearly they're going to be targets for any expansion. ANSCHLUSS is forbidden, remember, in the Treaty of Versailles. And, it's quite clear Hitler obviously tries 1934, tries in 1938 to rectify this. And not part of the Treaty of Versailles, but definitely a foreign policy aim is to gain Lebensraum, living space, and to crush communism. And clearly, if he does this, it's going to push him directly into conflict with the USSR. We also have the Japanese, part of the Axis powers. Their aims, they want to create the Greater East Asia Co-Prosperity Sphere. It's a bit of a mouthful, but essentially what they want is they want to create an empire in Southeast Asia. They want more territory, they want to expand. Also, they desperately need resources, so they want to gain economic independence. The Italians, under Benito Mussolini, also want to revive past glories. They want an empire. Okay, Mussolini dreams of a second Roman Empire. He also wants to distract people back home from the dire economic position that Italy finds itself in the Depression. So let's go back to Hitler. So, conscription, rearmament, okay? This is something that he starts secretly in 33 after the World Disarmament Conference. By 35, he is openly rearming. What is the West's reaction to this? The STRESA Pact. STRESA Pact, April 1935, is meant to uphold the Treaty of Versailles by Italy, France, and Britain. And this united front doesn't last very long. The Franco-Soviet Pact of Mutual Assistance is in May 1935. This is attempting to intimidate Germany, but it's not a binding pact. And far more damaging is the Anglo-German naval agreement in June 1935. And this means that the German Navy is limited to 35% of the tonnage of the British Navy, and it's a clear sign of British self-interest. They're breaking the Treaty of Versailles by signing this. And Mussolini realizes the Stresa Pact is broken. He invades Abyssinia in October 1935, and this is a huge international crisis. It ruins any credibility the League of Nations has. The Hall-Level Pact shows, again, Britain and France are prepared to act in their own interests. And meanwhile, in Western Europe, Hitler holds the SAAR plebiscite in January 1935. This is completely normal. This is in accordance with the Treaty of Versailles, and unsurprisingly, the results overwhelmingly are returned to Germany. He then takes his first big gamble. He remilitarizes the Rhineland. He marches German troops in March 1936. And here is a very famous cartoon of the German goose-stepping into the Rhineland, fully armed. So after his Rhineland bluff pays off, Hitler gets involved in the Spanish Civil War. His Condor legions help General Franco to move from the Canary Islands. And, of course, the most famous incident in the Spanish Civil War involving Germany is the bombing of Guernica in April 1937. Hundreds are killed, and it really shows the destructive power of the Luftwaffe, and it's one of the factors that leads to appeasement later on. So ANSCHLUSS in March 1938, he tries in 1934, it's blocked by Mussolini. He tries again in March 1938, this time it is successful. This time Mussolini is firmly on the Axis side, so is not going to resist it. And Here is another famous cartoon where Mussolini is shown as the gamekeeper who should be protecting Austrian integrity, but instead is doing nothing while Hitler gets his game. So after Anschluss, you have the Sudeten crisis, and this is going back to the issue of self-determination. This leads to the Munich conference in September 1938. Now, this is where Britain and France, especially Britain, start to use the policy of appeasement. And Neville Chamberlain famously is received with a hero's welcome. So previous to this, they're not really appeasing Hitler, they're just not really doing anything. But here they are actively appeasing him, they're actively giving them what he wants, which is in this case, of course, is the Sudetenland. And Hitler manages to get this without a fight and gains a lot of valuable munitions factories, and obviously destroys the fortifications of Czechoslovakia. And in March 1939, Hitler then invades the rest of Czechoslovakia. And once he does this, it's very, very clear appeasement as a tactic has failed. And Britain and France have to prepare for war. And the first thing they do is they give a guarantee to Poland that the Britain and France will fight to defend Poland's integrity. And obviously, Britain and France furiously rearmed during this period. However, they failed to approach Stalin for an alliance. So Stalin is left with no choice but to sign the Nazi-Soviet Pact, which he does on the 23rd of August 1939. Now, the Nazi-Soviet Pact obviously makes World War II inevitable because Hitler and Stalin agree to carve up Poland. They agree not to attack each other. It leaves Hitler free to attack Poland without fear of Russia in the east. And of course, 1st of December 1939, Germany invades Poland. Britain and France give an ultimatum for the Germans to leave. This is not adhered to. So therefore, on the 3rd of September 1939, Britain and France declare war on Germany, and we have World War II. So that was just a very brief overview of the unit, and I hope you found it useful.